evening, welcome to the Derby debrief from RamsTV, live from Pride Park Stadium. Delighted to be joined by Shaun and Chris Martin tonight to reflect on a defeat for Derby. The Rams' 5-game winning streak comes to an end at the hands of Watford here at Pride Park. And the visitors getting their first away win of this championship season. That after Derby took a 2-0 lead through Dion Sanderson and Sondre Langas's first goals for the Rams. But Derby felt the effects of losing Carlton Morris to injury in the first half. And Watford came from 2 down with 3 goals in the final half an hour. Edo Kayambi winning it with a brace, including a penalty 2 minutes from time. A reaction to come from the head coach, John Eustace, but plenty to discuss with the guys in the studio. Chris, we'll start with you. That was some final half an hour. What do you make of it?
Yeah, disappointing, obviously, in the end. I thought Derby were in control, obviously, at 2-0. Hadn't really been troubled at that point, and then a goal seemingly out of nothing. I think the lad was allowed a little bit too much space to get his cross in, and movement wasn't tracked in the box. But yeah, just found a way to lose it, I guess, in the end. It didn't seem like there was a load in the game, but some poor decisions obviously led to the goals conceded, and on the wrong end of a result now. Not
what we're used to seeing from this Derby side, Bart.
No, it's a bit of a surprise, if we're being honest, because of how good we've been of late, because of how well we've dealt with going ahead in previous games. As Chris mentioned, in control. So you get your second goal, you're in control. Watford offered a bit of width and were running beyond at times in that first half, but hadn't got the quality and hadn't got the detail to really punish us. And the reality is, if you switch off for a moment, you can get punished. And that first goal gave them a lift, kept them in the game, and then the 2 goals to concede in that last 25 minutes or so is just poor from our perspective. It felt like we gifted them the game rather than Watford taking it themselves. So a really disappointing afternoon, especially with the position we're in at home, 2-0 up, and our form of late. But this is the championship, this is football, it's how we get over this, because it's disappointment, we're going to be down, we're going to feel the effect of not maybe getting that top 6, but you have to bounce back quickly, and we've seen us do that this season.
Yeah, there was a moment during the game when on current scorelines Derby were moving into the playoff places. More from the guys in a moment or two. First, let's get some reaction from the head coach, John Eustace.
I thought we were in control of the game up until they scored, and knocked the wind out of ourselves a little bit. We have to be better in them moments. Their first goal, we switch off at the back from a decent cross, but we should be better. And then we've gone to ground, and that's second game in a row now that we've given a needless penalty away, which is disappointed. And then we've got to see the game out. Yeah, okay, we take a 2-2, and to concede from a set piece is really disappointing. It's something we've got to look at.
Are you surprised more than anything because this side have been so solid for so long now?
Yeah, 100%. It's not like us, and I think sometimes you're 2-0, and as I say, I think everyone felt relatively in control of the game. So just that lack of concentration wasn't good enough. We tried to make some changes to maybe make a difference as well, and unfortunately, they were putting more attacking players on, more pace and power, and we just couldn't deal with it. So something we've got to look at and learn from, and we've got to be ready now for Monday.
Obviously, you lost Carlton Morris early on. Firstly, how's he doing?
Yeah, he's not in a good way, so that's disappointing. We'll have to look at that. He'll be in for a scan tomorrow, so he's in a really bad way. For him to come off the pitch as well, he really must have been struggling. So there's a bit of a naughty tackle off the ball and the incident, but listen, it's football, and we've got to get on with it.
Yeah, fingers crossed for good news on him. Did you miss his influence, do you think, as the game went on?
Of course we did. He's a top player, great experience. He's our focal point up there, and we did. But saying that, we found a way to get a 2-goal lead. And as I say, really disappointed in the concentration. Then when it's something that we've got to be better. We've got to learn from when we're winning, to make sure that that last 20 minutes that we go even harder and we defend better and we organise quicker, and we don't switch off.
And the good news is a chance to put it right quickly on Tuesday.
And of course there is, and that's the championship. There's lots of ups and downs. We've got to get rested tomorrow, and then Monday morning we come back in and make sure we're ready for Swansea.
That's Derby boss John Eustace. Not good news by sounds of it on Carlton Morris. We'll talk about him in a moment or two, and also how Derby got to be in front, guys. But it's more about what happened, I suppose, in the final half an hour. As you've both said, I think, no sign really, with half an hour to go, that Derby would be in any trouble, and yet they've lost this game 3-2, Bart.
Yeah, that's probably why it feels more disappointing and tough to take, because we're in complete control. I didn't think we were at full tilt neither. I've seen us play better. And it just felt like we gave them too many opportunities, too many chances to come back into the game. And if you're looking at a penalty and a set piece, we've talked about the set piece, haven't we? And how disappointing it is. If you've got zonals and you've got markers, everyone needs to do their job, and they didn't. So obviously I've watched the Rams every game this season, and it was a little bit of a surprise to see this. Chris has obviously not seen them recently, and the change from what we've seen to today was a big shock to me, and it will be for the manager as well.
First goal taken well, but was it a bit out of nowhere, the first Watford goal?
A little bit, yeah. It didn't feel like there was a period of pressure. Didn't feel like it was building, or that Derby were particularly under the cosh at all. I think maybe Sanderson doesn't think the cross is going to come in as early as what it does, and he just hesitates for a split second. The striker manages to get across him. So I'm sure they'll be analysing that and probably be disappointed, because I think if he moves early, stays goal side, like you said on commentary, that chance probably doesn't come.
Any complaints about the penalty from either of you?
We've looked at it a few times. I think there's a couple of angles where it doesn't seem like there's contact. I've said that as soon as you go down, you give the referee a decision to make. I think you mentioned the last one, there might have been contact with his rear leg, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. Looking from behind, the angles that we've seen, it doesn't look like a great deal, and the guy's looking to go down, obviously, because he looks like he's just about lost control of the ball. I think as Ward's sliding in, you can see he tries to pull out of the tackle, because I think he realises he's not quite going to get there, but I don't quite think he does enough to pull out, and I think there is probably a bit of contact, but it's one of those you have to see probably a few times just to figure it out. But as soon as you go to ground, the referee has a decision to make. I think if he stays on his feet, the lad probably doesn't even make a decent fist of the cross. So obviously hindsight's a wonderful thing, but I think it was a poor decision to go to ground when he was struggling to get back.
And John Eustace making the point of the second penalty that Derby conceded in 2 games, so perhaps that is an area that they're going to look at. And Edo Kayembe, having scored the penalty, then gets the winner. And is it the winner that is, certainly from the defensive point of view, Barks, the one that is most frustrating?
Yeah, the decision for the penalty is down to, obviously, the Wardy going down and the referee giving it. Now, at that point, you're trying to get something from the game. We're 2-0 up. It's gone to 2-2. I thought we might be the ones that would push for the last few minutes to get the winner. That wasn't the case. But you cannot switch off from set pieces. You've got zonals, you've got blockers or markers. There was 3 Derby players in the box that didn't seem to be doing a job. And at that point, those little details in the 85th minute, whatever it was, are key to getting something from the game, and you cannot switch off for a second. So whether it's Chrissy as a centre forward coming back and expected to do a job, whether it's a centre half's job to go and win that first ball, it has to be better. And I think when they'll analyse that with all the set piece coaches you have now, all the detail that goes into it, and the importance that the manager gives to set pieces, I think he'll be thoroughly disappointed. And yeah, again, it just feels like we've let ourselves down rather than Watford doing anything in particular special to cause us these problems. So it's going to be a tough one to take, but one that you've got to learn from.
Maybe the biggest consequence of today is the injury to Carlton Morris, and clearly we don't know yet how serious it is. We don't know the extent of it. We don't know how long he may be missing. I mean, I certainly felt, Chris, that they missed his influence as the game went on. Would that be fair? And how concerned were you seeing him go off like that?
Yeah, from all accounts, from what people have told me about him, he's not one to stay down. So it was concerning. He looked, obviously, the look on his face, he looked like he was in quite a bit of pain. We saw him from up there at the side of the pitch, seemed really disappointed, and like he was really struggling to try and run it off. So hopefully it's not too bad. But I think you're right. I think they did miss his presence in the middle of the pitch. I think Aguiman struggled to get into the game a little bit. I think he looked threatening on a few occasions. I think it was very unfortunate to be given a foul against him when he made the move on the defender. I actually thought it was a foul Derby's way versus Watford's. I think the defender got away with one big time there. But yeah, I feel like Would like to see him do a little bit more to get hold of the ball and try and bring his teammates into play. Perhaps that's not one of his strengths, but just my opinion watching the game today, I think he could have helped his team out a little bit more to try to take the pressure off.
There's a chance Saint-Germain's going to have to play that Rob box if Morris is out for any extended amount of time.
Well, that's the the manager's call. He's got to work out whether or not he'll stick with the same formation. Adjiman's been better on that left-hand side, there's no doubt about it. His strength is running, it's using his pace, it's stretching the pitch. As soon as you lose this focal point and that central figure, it's very difficult to get what we've had in previous games. So whether he starts Salverson, whether Adjiman goes there, whether they change the formation, the thing with Carlton is, and Chrissy, I'm sure will agree with this, when you're on song and you're scoring goals and you're in free flow, the last thing you want to do is go down and come off the pitch. So to see him come off, you know it's something a little bit more serious than a knock, because if you've scored goals, you just want to stay on the pitch, you want to get the chances, you want to create opportunities for yourself. That was hugely disappointing. And as you mentioned, the influence of the player, it's not just what he does with the ball at his feet, it's not just the detail of his pass and all the in-possession stuff, it's how he talks to his teammates, how he conducts himself, how he keeps centre-halves entertained. It's a huge loss as long as it's going to be, whether it's a week, whether it's longer. We don't know what it looks like, but it is a serious concern.
Even defensively, that set piece that they've conceded late on there, I think he's probably one that's organising. Yeah. He's putting his head in, and you never know if he's on the pitch, that might not happen.
Yeah, fingers crossed it isn't too long for Carlton. Morris Derby did go 2-0 up in this game. First Derby goals for Sondre Langas and for Dion Sanderson.
It was disappointing. It was very unlike us. At 2-0 up, we're in control, we're cruising, and then just the concentration kicks in where we're getting late into the game and goals were soft. We give them the goals in my eyes. Overall, just disappointed. Yeah.
Is it almost anger with yourselves because it is so out of character for this team?
Yeah, of course. I think myself and the team got to look ourselves in the mirror and be honest, and that was definitely not good enough. The 3 goals were terrible in my eyes. I think, as I said, we was cruising 2-0 up. Yes, we wasn't as good on the ball today, but I think we're a team where we go a goal or 2 up, then it's like we see the game out. You know, we're solid as a team, hard to play through, head anything that comes into the box, fight for balls. Yeah, wasn't that.
Is it a reminder of how competitive the Championship is as well, a game like that?
Well, yeah, we've won 5 on the bounce, and that wasn't through just, turning up and hoping for the best. We've had to grind them gains out, and, it's been every second, every minute of each game that we have won, it's been tough, it's been hard work. The boys know that, I know that. That's what the league is. And yeah, today was just... it is definitely a wake-up call and a reminder for the lads to know, listen, it's the Championship, and when you get to them late stages in games, that's where the true colours shown. Today was definitely not good enough.
I know it's a long journey, but are you glad of the game at Swansea on Tuesday night to try and put this right?
Yeah, well, the boys spoke in there and we said, listen, it's a quick turnaround, which is always good, and myself and the lads can't wait to play Tuesday. But yeah, today's game's one to reflect on, definitely.
You lost Carlton Morris to injury first half. He's such a big part of this team. Did you miss his influence a bit in those closing stages?
Yeah, of course, but when he goes off, then it's a different solution we've got to find. We can't rely on Carlton. He's done so well for the club so far, but we've got players on the bench who can affect the game, and when called upon, they're ready. So it's something that we'll work around, and I've got no doubt we'll be fine.
And I know it's so difficult to separate the personal from the team, particularly straight after a game like that, but your first Derby goal this afternoon, it looked like it meant an awful lot to you.
Yeah, listen, I've always spoke on the fans and wanting to give them that excitement feeling, that winning feeling. Today we felt short, but yeah, it's hard to take, and it's my first goal, and I'm delighted. First goal for the club and whatnot, but we lost the game, and that's it's disappointing in my eyes.
That's Derby defender Dion Sanderson. Goals galore in the Championship today. 14 in the lunchtime games alone. Big wins for Bristol City, for Southampton away at Charlton, and for Coventry, the leaders who came from 2-0 down to beat West Brom. Some big scorelines in the 3 o'clock games as well. Birmingham beating Norwich and Philippe Clement in his first game in charge of the Canaries. Portsmouth beating Millwall, Queen's Park Rangers getting the better of Hull in a bit of a ding-dong game at Loftus Road. Victory for Leicester as well. The only stalemate was between Ipswich and Wrexham. The table then sees Coventry now 7 points clear at the top of the standings. Borough still doing their best to chase with Stoke, Bristol City, Preston and Hull in the playoff places. There was a time that Derby were in the top 6. The Rams dropped to 12th in the table, still just 2 points off the playoff places. At the other end, no change, with Sheffield United and Sheffield Wednesday facing each other in the Steel City Derby at Hillsborough tomorrow. Busy week coming up for the Rams. 2 away fixtures for Derby, Swansea on Tuesday, then Middlesbrough on Saturday. Just before we go, Chris, been great to have you here at Pride Park today. How's it been being back?
Loved it. Loved it. Catching up with everyone, some familiar faces, getting to see a few of the fans around, and doing a little bit of a whistle-stop tour of the stadium around all the boxes and stuff. So, yeah, I've really enjoyed myself. A
pleasure to see you. Hopefully it won't be long until you're back. And Barks, we'll see you Tuesday when Derby are back in action. Do join us for that if you can. But for now, from the whole team, goodbye.